I want to apologize for last week's episode.
Why?
Why?
It sounded like shit. I sounded like shit, but
I didn't pick up on any of that.
Matter of fact, I told Brad yesterday how awesome I thought the episode was.
Yeah.
I'm still really loud, Kevin. Let me turn my.
But then again, when I listen to it, I don't listen to any of the nuances.
Okay. There we go.
Is that better for you?
Yes. Yeah, that's much better. Thank you.
Okay. That's not a volume knob.
It's not?
That's not a volume knob.
It just happened to work when you were turning it down. You can go back up just a hair on my volume. Yeah, it's good.
Is that better?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe.
Maybe not. There she is.
Oh, hi.
We're gonna start that. We're gonna start that over. We're gonna fix this shit.
Do it right.
Hello, everybody. It is ShiftLess, and boy, howdy. Do we have bicycle shit to talk about today?
And we have so much bicycle shit to talk about. But how about this weather?
How about this weather?
Can we get a weather report, Brad?
Dude, it's pretty overcast, but man, it feels good. I think it's almost 60 degrees as we sit here, and it's just beautiful. Birds are chirping. Another Disney day. My pool's back to running.
And the pool's running. So, yeah if you hear background gurgling, just, hey, roll with it, because we're getting the pool ready for the season.
I had to replace my entire pump assembly, motor, pump housing, impeller, all that stuff, and plumb it all in. My buddy Hoyt came over and helped me out. That was pretty epic. So she's back up and running. I put all the chemicals in yesterday. So starting to clear up. It was awful. Looked like a pond. I mean, when I went into the pool store to bring him a sample, he was like, "How's your pool look?" And I go, "It looks more like a pond."
Did he ask you if it was water from Denton Creek?
That's what it looked like.
Hey, I didn't realize there was a memo on camo caps today.
Yeah, Kevin didn't get it.
Kevin didn't get it. He's repping the summer series.
Yeah. Good for him, though.
Yeah, no.
I like that summer series.
I don't have a hat. And I designed that logo, and I don't even have that hat. McAfee.
You designed that logo?
Yeah.
I bought this hat. Did you buy it?
No,
I
I didn't.
better.
That's why you don't have one. That's why you don't have one.
Oh, man. I think today's going to be the last day to get a ride in before tomorrow. It's supposed to.
We got more rain coming.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a downpour again.
But it's supposed to be in the morning, they said.
I was just looking at it. No, they bumped it. When was the last time you looked?
Starting in the morning with a 1/10 of an inch, but like up to a half inch later in the day.
Last time they told us we were going to get a half inch, we got over 2 inches. So, and we got caught in that hailstorm. Did you guys get hail at your house last Thursday?
Yeah. I gave the heads up to everybody up this way.
Oh, that's right, you did. Yeah.
We were headed into Keller. We were going down 377, and we got freaking hammered. I mean, I was scared that every window in that truck was going to break.
I hear you.
And what sucks is we would get out of it, and then the traffic would slow down, and it would catch back up to us.
That was going south?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. I guess it must have been moving like this.
Must have been.
And we were skirting out of it, and then it would just catch up to us again. We got in and out of it 3 separate times.
Okay.
The third time was not near as bad, but, man, I've never been in a hailstorm like that in a vehicle.
At our place, it was heavy hail in quantity, but it was smaller hail.
Oh.
It dinged stuff up, but, I mean, we were, like, right on the front edge of the hail starting up. It's like, oh, this is just now starting. Who's ever
in the path,
who's ever further downstream is up shit creek.
My buddy posted pictures in Lantana, and they had, like, almost pool ball size hail, and it just totally destroyed his wife's car.
This is probably the second or third year I've been signed up for the Denton alert system.
Mm-hmm.
And they will call, you'll get an automated call and or a text, however you sign up for it.
Mm-hmm.
And being Texas and the way we get storms, there's been many times you've gotten a text message or a voicemail, and it says, hail,
seek shelter,
possible hail. Or, it literally, the text said baseball-sized hail.
Jeez.
I mean, and when it said that, I thought...
Have you seen my baseball?
Oh, boy, this is The expect all the roofers and the glass
They
people,
come
the
out of
dent
the
people
freaking
start
woodworks.
knocking on your doors. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
They come out of the freaking
We didn't.
woodworks.
We got dime, nickel, maybe a couple.
We didn't
it wasn't very intense. It wasn't.
Gage
super
was at
bad.
the house, and he said we didn't get shit.
Yeah, but right after it happened, I ran up the street to grab dinner at Mataza, and those trees were shredded.
Yeah.
It looked like, someone
Somebody come through with a
dumped their
brush hog.
lawn clippings in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way, I heard that weather is always a factor.
Boy, is
heard
it!
that too.
And it's very. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. It's not always predictable.
Says the man that organized this past weekend's bikepacking
Man.
trip. And I'm assuming that weather is part of the story.
So none of the weather really went as planned, but
we made accommodations.
Fun was had.
Much fun.
No one was hurt. No one got lost. I think it was a success.
So everybody made it home.
Stories were told.
Yeah. Stories were
Stories came
gathered.
from it. Were gathered. Yeah, that's for sure.
We had a lot of fun. I don't think, it's foolish to think that the weather's going to be perfect over a 3-day span anyways.
Especially in March in Texas.
Yeah. So I think the weather was about as good as it could be. I mean, we made consolations for everything. We, on the way up there when we met up with you, we had just made it to that store when we planned to make it there, and we just decided to stay there longer because it started to rain, and we realized it was just a little cell. So we probably burned maybe an extra hour.
Yeah, I think
hour
we were
and a half
there. We were there, what, 2.5 hours?
Yeah. So we were planning on being there for probably around an hour anyways.
Sure.
And I think we probably burned an extra hour and a half just waiting out the weather.
And at that point, we had all day long to ride. What at that point was 45 miles maybe?
Yeah.
Which is nothing.
Nothing.
And shout out to JJ's Truck Stop on 380,
Yeah.
home of the first Midnight Massacre, and the toilet paper still hasn't been filled.
And as a reminder, bathrooms are for costumers only.
Costumers. That place looks like you could shoot a low-budget horror film in it.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw y'all post the food pictures from there, it's like, really?
Well, see, what had happened was when we were stuck there, we walked in and we were getting snacks and chocolate milk and just stupid shit, right?
Sure.
And Hoyt's got a voracious appetite.
Yeah.
Hoyt immediately orders a burger. And I go, hey, Dighead, we're headed to Greenwood Grocery. They're like famous for their burgers. And he goes, oh, I'll eat a burger there too. So as he's finishing his burger, it starts to rain.
We hadn't really looked at the weather up until that. I mean, we knew it was getting.
Sure.
We looked to the south,
we're
west
looking.
of us, and it starts to look like the never-ending story.
A little
when
ominous.
that storm comes through, and we all check our radar, and we think, okay, guys, settle in.
Yeah.
We're going to be here for a while. Burgers for everybody.
Well, no, then you called Greenwood Grocery.
Oh, that's right.
And they close at 2 o'clock on Friday. And if your order's not in by 1:30, you're SOL. So we were like, okay, burgers here. So everybody ordered a burger, and we sat in, 8 burgers there. So it was fun. And we had a beautiful ride after that. I mean, it actually cleared up. We had a little bit of a tailwind at a couple of points on the way up there, and it was gorgeous. Roads were dry.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so
it was nice.
just so our listeners are up to speed, what was your destination? How many days and how many miles per day?
We did about 73 or something on Friday.
Yep.
Rode from my garage to the LBJ Grasslands Tadra Point trailhead was our destination. Little did we know there was a epic trail run being conducted there this past weekend. 600 participants was the number I heard.
I had lunch with friends. So we left Friday morning. I had lunch with Isaac Hoskins and his wife on Thursday, and she is a member of the Denton County Runners Club or the Denton Runners Club or whatever that group is. And she goes, where are you guys going? And I told her, she goes, there's a trail run there. And I went, how big? She goes, last time I heard there were 600 people signed up or something for it. okay, well, and I said, and where are they staging it? She goes,
Tadra Point.
Tadra Point. And I went, well, it's a good thing there's 118,000 acres out there that we can choose from.
And then we set up a quarter mile from there.
Our fire pit was 30 yards
Maybe.
from the trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're sitting around the fire, eating, drinking, having a good time, and encouraging / heckling the runners, and they for the most part had really good senses of humor.
Yeah.
And so we had fun with that.
I made a phone call when we were about 30 miles out. I had a light bulb moment because I realized Kevin wasn't going to bring us beer. So I called my girl that runs the yoga retreat camp out in Forestburg, and I said, "Hey, how far are you from the grasslands?" And she goes, "Like 15 minutes." And I go, "What are you doing tonight?" She goes, "Oh, hell, Brad, what do you want?" And I go, "Well, we had plans for someone to bring us beer, and it fell through," which was true-ish.
I never had plans to be out there Friday night.
Hey, hold up. Don't let a lie stand in the way of a good story. And she goes, "Oh, so you just want me to bring you beer?" And I go, "That would be fantastic." I go, "If you could bring us a case or so of Coors, if we could be so choosy." And she goes, "I could do that." She goes, "You need an ice chest and ice?" And I go, No. Beer's fine." So we pull up to Tadra Point Trailhead, and she's sitting there in her truck with a case of Coors for us. And I won the day. Because I think Hoyt and Proctor were the only ones that knew that I had made that phone call.
Sure,
all these other guys were like, so it was quite the pick me up because we
Found gold.
Yeah, because we were cracking beers as we were setting up camp and building a fire and everything. It was quite the lift. It was good stuff.
We ended up with a great spot too.
Yeah. Oh, that spot was terrific.
Coming, I don't know which direction from the trailhead were we? We were north.
I think
That
so.
road runs north-south.
Mm-hmm.
We were
Ish.
just north of it on top of that hill.
Yeah, we're just uphill from it.
There's
In the woods.
In the
Yeah.
woods. Yeah, there's a little turnoff that goes up the hill, and there's a fence line, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were down further towards the trail. But
Great spot.
it was a great spot. It was, you couldn't hardly hear any cars.
Yeah. When they came
Saturday-
screaming through there.
Saturday morning was a little busy. People coming in early for that that race. But man, there were 150 cars out there Friday.
Easy. Yeah.
And then when we woke up Saturday to get rolling, they were parked all the way up to where we were. It looked like
When I rolled down there to the cistern to filter water, I was like, holy shit.
it was a city.
Yeah, I didn't realize Becky and Solo were out there too.
I saw Becky post on Saturday, but I hadn't seen anything from Mike yet.
Yeah.
So Jan and I were just kind of assuming that maybe Becky was just doing a girls' weekend thing. And I thought about reaching out and saying, if Mike was there, he would have said something.
Yeah.
And
Well, I didn't know until they were already at home. So I was like, that
we
would have been
knew-
cool.
We knew in the middle of the day that it was a possibility.
Yeah.
And I thought about doing a hookup, but
Well, we knew that it was going to rain. We had gotten, I think you had reached out and let us know it was going to rain, and Caleb's wife had also reached out and let us know it was going to rain. So we made a plan around breakfast to start rolling around 11 because we thought it was going to start raining around noon. And we were just going to roll into Alvord and eat some lunch and hang out. And we left right at 11.
And the shortest, I had adjusted the route to get into Alvord. The route dropped us right there at that Lowe's grocery store.
mm-hmm.
I was able to shave off a little bit by going through some of the trail.
Yeah, which was cool.
Which was fun, man. There was
Yeah.
it was just this up and down section, 2 creek crossings, and we got about 3 miles from town. We started getting into the houses.
Yeah, the bottom just
And it
fell out.
One of the heaviest rains.
I've ridden in. Yeah.
Super heavy rains. Not a ton of lightning. Got a little. The lightning came first.
Yes, that's true.
And I did get a little because I don't have a phobia of it, but lightning is concerning.
Healthy
always.
respect.
Healthy respect.
Yeah. I went jacking on, and I still managed to get soaked.
I mean, the only way that you don't get that type of water through your jacket is if you're wearing like a trash bag style, like the ones that do not vent.
Yeah.
The fully
Speaking of which,
Rubberized.
emergency poncho that Adam had
Yeah.
was one of the best calls.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's smart.
That's going in my kit next time. When I saw it, because I saw it in his water backpack while we were riding, and I was like, the fuck is that going to do?
Yeah.
And when we were sitting around, when was that? When we were sitting around camp, and it was when we got back Saturday night.
Yeah.
It had stopped raining, but everything was still just falling out of the trees for at least an hour, and it was just enough to be annoying. And we might have even gotten a little bit of rain while we were cooking dinner.
Yeah, and it rained that night. A little bit late.
And so he's sitting there with his emergency poncho on, and it goes over his knees while he's in the chair. And he was like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
And I was like, that's going in my kit next time.
We made a lot of noise Friday night, and we went out and rode Saturday.
Night.
Well, when we came back Saturday, someone was in that camping spot
uphill.
up the hill.
Yeah.
So you go up that little driveway, and there's a camp spot there. But we actually rode through the woods on a game trail, maybe 25 yards, 30 yards on the other side of that downside.
Right.
As we're coming up, there was a couple there that had set up camp, and they were like outside of their minivan. And I said, hey, I'm letting you guys know ahead of time. I'm sorry, but it may be loud. These guys are going to make a lot of noise. And I was kind of half joking, but I knew the reality was, did you see where they were Saturday morning? I didn't even point it out. They moved their car. Their camp spot was still there. All their equipment was there, but their minivan had moved down the road south into another turn-in, and they must have slept in their minivan.
Well, but you said it rained overnight.
Yeah, they had a tent though. No, it didn't rain bad at all.
No,
it was
not
not.
bad
It was
at all.
spring.
Okay.
A little bit of a
I
sprinkling.
didn't even know it rained.
Yeah.
I slept
Okay.
slept
All right,
straight
just
through it.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had to have been though.
So
The noise.
were they in a campsite proper, and y'all?
No.
We were not in a campsite proper. They were.
I guess that is kind of it just looks like a hangout spot. There's a bunch of stones there you can sit on and stuff.
Yeah, that's a proper dispersed campsite out there.
Yeah.
But we back to Saturday, we rolled into town soaking wet, and we regrouped because we got split as a group. I can't remember what happened.
Well, it was just, are you choosing to ride full gas down that hill with no brakes in the pouring rain, or are you putting a little pressure on the brake pads as you're coming down?
I'm sorry, I lost. When was this?
Saturday.
Saturday, coming back to camp?
Rolling into town.
Going to Alvord,
Going in
okay.
Alvord. When we got soaking wet, we regrouped in front of that laundromat that's right next to the Lowe's, grocery store. It was still raining. We were already wet, so we were trying to figure out where we were going to go to eat, trying to figure out what the options were. We didn't address that before we got into town for whatever reason. And
there's a donut shop there. Do you need anything else?
we literally contemplated that. We almost
matter of fact, Adam made that call. He goes, I want donuts.
Yeah. We ended up going to the Shell right by 287 that has the Subway in it, and they have a bunch of seats and stuff in there. So we went there and we all ate and hung out and ate junk food and bought cards and played cards. And then once there was a break in the weather, we went back to the laundromat because we knew it was just going to be a quick break. So we made a scramble to motivate to the laundromat, and then we took turns drying clothes and continued to eat and drink beer in the laundromat and play cards.
That laundromat is attached to the same structure as the grocery store.
Yeah.
So every 10 minutes, someone was walking back to the grocery store to buy more things. We probably put $500 in that town this weekend.
Right.
I mean, we just kept going and buying groceries and buying shit. I went in there 3 times to buy different stuff.
Yeah. And then finally the weather broke and we rolled back into town and we decided to take the trail on the way back.
Yeah.
much to the chagrin of a couple of people.
We're going up and down, and it's muddy, but it's not the mud that we have here. It's real sandy mud, so it's not.
Yeah.
It's sticking, but it's not like it's not peanut butter.
Yeah.
But even so, I think I was riding with maybe with Adam and I mentioned to Adam, I said, I haven't seen any runners. They had to have called it. There's no way anyone's running in this shit. And 25 seconds later, we top a hill, and a woman comes half walking, half jogging, trying not to fall. And she literally looks like she's wearing
a mud suit.
mud legs.
Right.
Like from you cannot see skin from her knees
Some
down,
of
and they're
those
still
trail
they're-
runners are hardcore.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
all of them were because they were all still out there doing it.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Well, the ones that made it out there to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
It became a race of attrition.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
basically whoever stays on course longer
Yeah.
wins, you know. So
And I'm sorry, how long was their course?
There was multiple. So Saturday morning, the 100-milers started. The 50-milers.
Is it multiple loops of
Yes.
the same
yeah, there's
thing?
no there's
Yes.
4. I asked the guy, there's 4 separate loops.
Okay.
And the 100-milers do all 4 loops twice.
Okay.
So I gather that's 50 miles worth of trails between the 4 loops.
That would be
That's-
25.
And there was also the 15.
All 4 loops twice.
Wait, I'm sorry, wait a minute. No, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
okay.
because you can
Yeah,
split
okay,
all the
okay,
main
fine.
color, because all the loops, all the trails are colored,
Colorized.
and they all at some point either.
He said
there's-
it's like
there-
a clover leaf.
Yes, there's
Oops.
3 that cross Tadra, and then but very very close to those, 2 of those split off to 2 more. So
Yeah.
red, yellow, and white come through Tadra, and then blue and green split north and south, very close to
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Almost like a clover leaf.
So, were y'all able to get as much trail exploring?
No.
in that-
No.
I didn't think so. I just
Limited. The only trails we got on were
That connector
to and
piece,
back.
basically,
Yeah,
yeah.
to and
Okay,
back to
that's,
town.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Wanted to double check.
The weather did put a damper on that,
Yeah.
and we wouldn't have been doing much trail anyways because there was so many runners out there.
Right.
So-
Right. So basically, you need another trip out there to do your
Yeah,
exploration.
yeah, I'm definitely.
And I
gonna go out
carried
there.
a fly rod, a fly
Yeah.
reel, flies,
both did.
leaders, and all that stuff, and never
Never,
came
yeah.
off my bike because
Yeah.
we just didn't have the
So-
opportunity.
Now, y'all had mentioned in our text string when you were in Alvord that you'd left everything at camp.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I see your pictures, it looks like everyone's got their bags on their bikes.
Those pictures were from Sunday.
Oh, okay. So you okay?
We were loaded up and headed back when those
Oh,
pictures
so you
were
were
taken.
you were taking a case of beer with you on Sunday.
No, that picture was,
That was Friday.
Saturday when we were coming back into town.
Oh yes,
That-
yeah.
and Adam had
Adam strapped a suitcase.
It looked like everybody had their bags and everything on their bikes.
Oh,
is what I'm
that
getting.
picture where Caleb's holding the 12-pack on his shoulder?
Yeah.
That's from Friday when we got there. We were riding just from her truck to our campsite where we had...
Quarter of a mile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just trying.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
makes sense. So yeah, those pictures were dry. That's from Friday, and then Adam strapped a case on his front roll.
12-pack.
A 12-pack. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, it was 2 12-packs, so that's a case, right?
Well,
on Saturday we just had the 12-pack, and then we had
I
random
had-
beers stuffed
Well,
in
the
bags.
pictures I was
Yeah.
referencing.
Yeah.
One person had a 12-pack, another person
And
had a
then
12-pack.
That was from Friday.
And then
Yeah.
Proctor, Red, and myself, I think, were the only. And then we had random numbers of cans stuffed into our saddlebags.
Sure,
To Porter.
And then I had a
Some
bottle
bag.
of whiskey, and
Yeah, they stopped
we
at
had all kinds of
They
stuff.
stopped at a liquor store.
We had a large time Friday,
Yeah.
Saturday night.
Yeah, made
Yeah.
the most of what we could.
Yeah, it was big time fun, and I've got an awesome surprise for you. The rep from Crazy Water
Yeah.
was at the run. Bill
Yeah, they're big on the-
Magaha.
Okay.
Yeah. Super good guy. I ended up talking to him for about 30 minutes, and we made the connection with Spinistry, with the podcast and everything. He said that they would love to come set up water at your events.
Cool.
And he told me to give you his card, and I was like, it's going to make Kevin's day.
Excellent.
He goes, we can set up water tables with Crazy Water and come pick them up after the event.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Shiftless, episode 54, brought to you by Crazy Water.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So he filled up all our bottles on Sunday before we left to roll out. He had proper 5-gallon jugs,
Okay,
and then
okay.
he was giving out water bottles. And I had a bottle of the number 4. I think that's the first time I've ever had the number
Yeah.
4, and it was freaking delicious.
It has It's complete. It's filtered, but all the minerals are still in it.
It's got what plants crave.
Yeah.
It's got electrolytes. It's like Brondo.
We should do an idiocracy like we did Sharknado.
That would be tremendous. That movie still holds up.
Oh, no doubt. Yes, it
it's
does.
Scary.
I'm about to say it's actually a horror film.
Idiocracy?
now.
Yeah.
It's a documentary.
Time
I
traveling
don't
documentary.
know what you're talking about being a comedy. It's a documentary.
It's so crazy. I was listening to an interview with who's the guy that did that? Mike
Judge.
Judge.
And he was talking about wardrobe, and they picked Crocs because they needed the most ridiculous futuristic shoes. And he goes, "There's no way these will ever take." He thought they'd be a flash in the pan,
Yeah.
and here we are, 15 years later, and you still have people wearing Crocs.
Have you
it's
seen
20
Have you
years.
seen the attachments that you can put in the vent holes of
Oh,
Crocs? And it's toes.
Oh no, I haven't seen that one.
It's little plastic toes that look like they're sticking up out of the Crocs, and it go to Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
Go to Buc-ee's.
All right. So, all right.
I thought you would be excited about that.
Yeah. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Thank you.
And he's a sweetheart.
Bill McGaha.
Yeah. He is an absolute nice guy.
I will reach out to him this week.
We talked about the net. We talked about he lives there in Mineral Wells. We talked about the Rails to Trails there in Mineral Wells. He rides, but he's also a runner. That's why he was
Sure,
out there
sure.
kind of. But he's definitely interested in bikepacking and all kinds of events like that. So he said they go all over. So he said have Kevin reach out to me and we'll set it up. So
Sweet.
yeah. So
Like that a lot.
yeah, I was like, dude, that would be a bonus. No, not only would you not have to worry about water, you'd have an upgrade on water. You know,
I don't know, man. That Valley View spigot, that's that's some good stuff.
but make sure you drop the pin in the right spot.
Yeah, I did drop it in the right spot. Google Maps recalculated when it went offline.
Before Caleb has a chance to defend himself, we had another skin wall failure
No.
this weekend. I'll give you one guess who it was.
Do you know why it happened? Because I was
I'm-
turning around to find them,
Okay.
and I turned too sharp. No, I left camp and I looked down and went
Military left or
my-
proper
my-"
left?
I actually turned the right direction. I looked down when we rolled out, and on my way to, we came down the hill, went up to Tadra Point to filter, and then we got the crazy water and wash off our bikes, and because it was still pretty muddy from the night before, and I thought, my front tire's a little low, it's a little squishy, I needed to put some air in it, and I forgot.
Yeah.
Rolling down, and not even a mile.
Yeah.
Half a mile?
Yeah.
3/4 of a mile?
Went too far and broke the seal.
Sidewall.
Slash the sidewall.
Slash the
Proper.
sidewall.
It was maybe a 3/4 inch slash on the sidewall.
Yeah.
With a liner in it.
Well, the liner's not gonna. They just would have let me rolled on a flat tire for a little
Yeah, but I
while.
say I'm not a liner fan.
But I think
that's
the
just
liner
me.
gave you a false impression that you had more air in there than you actually did.
That's possible.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
entirely possible.
Yeah.
So the beauty of the story is,
Guess which tube we put in?
got to try out.
Oh,
Got to try out the pink
the
tube.
pink tube.
And guess what?
it worked.
It's still in my bike.
Yeah, 70 miles.
Rode 70 miles on it.
Yeah,
It held
with a boot.
perfect.
Okay.
Das
Yeah,
Boot.
yeah, we put a boot in just as
Proper boot or
Yeah.
A Park Tools boot.
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't. There was so much stands, and we were so early into the ride and everything. We didn't clean up the tire or anything. We
Remind me what's this pink tube called again? I can't remember the name.
ride now.
Ride now.
Ride now.
I think that's what it's called.
Yep.
And that was an MTB tube.
Yeah,
It was?
Yep.
Okay.
56 grams.
Yeah, one bit of, I don't even want to call it negative feedback. It would be nice if the material was not so slick.
Yeah.
It took Brad and I both combined with the stands that was still
Yeah.
in the tire.
Yeah.
Trying to get that tube down into a tire behind a rim it would have been very difficult to do it with one person because it is so slick. It kept sliding up around the rim. It wouldn't stay put.
And
But once we got it in, man, it
And those tubes are not like a normal tube. I didn't realize it until we were in this situation, but they are full size. So, meaning They don't expand at all.
No.
They just inflate.
They're rigid plastic.
Oh.
There's no
Yeah.
expansion. There's no
Oh.
flex, or it doesn't stretch.
Okay, so it has to be the right size tube then.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's some expansion.
You can't make do with an undersized tube.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't
when
think so.
when I took it out of Brad had vacuum sealed it, and when I took it out and started kind of putting air into it to just get it to expand, Adam goes, "Did you buy a 36-inch tube?" It was
because normally,
Yeah.
normally when you start with a 29-inch
Yeah,
tube,
yeah,
it looks
yeah.
like a 26-inch
Yeah.
tube.
Yeah.
You know, it was already fully
Yeah.
grown.
It didn't. I was because it was when we realized how thin and how not rigid but non-stretch it was. I was concerned about putting in too much air at too much time, so I started using my hand pump. And that was taking forever. So we burned through a couple of air cartridges, and still, like I was being really sensitive to it because
Sure.
last thing I wanted to do was blow it out. Plus, it has a plastic valve, which we didn't realize until after we put it in. Anyway,
I realized it.
It didn't seat very well. We get at that point it was just Brad and Adam and I, and the rest of the group was waiting down the road, and I was still kind of rolling a little sensitive on it. Like I'm like, how
Sure,
long?
sure.
Like Brad said, let's just test it out and see. We knew 2 or 3 other people had regular tubes.
It's like the temporary spare.
So-
Yeah.
Limited to 40 miles an hour? Really? Can we do 60?
Yeah, exactly. I noticed pretty quick that the tire was a little lopsided, and it was as I was riding. So
Yeah,
we
we
got
did-
down the hill, and we were
didn't
like,
seat it all
at
the
that
way.
point, it was the entire group. Between the entire group, there was probably 6 proper tubes.
Yeah.
So I fired in another cartridge, and pow, it popped into place, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like I rode normal. I
Yeah.
I didn't try to bypass anything. I mean, when we got on the gravel,
Yeah.
I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Finally, I was at the point where it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna not even. This isn't even concern anymore.
And the important thing here, what tire was this one?
Mezcal.
Yeah, skin wall mezcal.
Skin wall.
I told Brad
Which, so
225.
225?
Yeah.
And was this a new one, or is this one you've been riding a while?
Yeah, it was not brand new.
Okay.
It still had plenty of tread, but the funny thing was, Brad and I were changing it, and he goes, "How you feel about these mezcals now, these skin walls?" I went, "Well, it's a good thing I got a brand new set of XC Race skin walls in my cabinet at home. Probably not going to put them on. Probably
Any
gonna sell those
other
all.
bike equipment learnings?
yeah.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
In fact, Josh Dean has sent me the remedy for this, and I'm going to go back and research it again. This is the second time I've been on a ride that I can think of offhand where someone's cassette came loose. I was riding behind Red, and I heard something. I looked down, and his whole cassette is doing this. And I told him, I said, "Hey, Red, pull over immediately." This was after lunch. We were probably 20 miles from the house.
Yeah, we were not far. We were in Crum.
And we pull over, and I grab his cassette, and it's got 3/4 of an inch of play side to side.
Wow.
And we, pull his wheel off, lock his derailleur clutch so his derailleur's extended, and it's all bike bagged up, so it's just heavy and hard to deal with. Take his rear wheel off, and luckily he had a Leatherman knockoff pair of pliers with him. We were able to take the needle nose and stick in the lock ring,
Yeah.
and I was trying to tighten it at first, but apparently it had been loose for so long that those threads
It was walled.
the threads were caked with dirt and
Okay.
shit.
Okay.
So what we ended up doing was taking the lock ring off. It only had half a turn before it came off. And you could see where the lock ring had been rubbing on the frame. That's how far out it was.
What frame was this?
Salsa, Fargo. Steel. We so then took the lock ring off, cleaned it up, and then cleaned the threads on the free hub body, and then put a little lube on the lock ring, tightened it back on. We used the needle nose once again, and Hoyt had a pair of forceps, I think, that he had brought for fly fishing.
He took a pair of, so we had needle nose pliers pressed outward into the lock ring, pressing out, and he took his forceps for fly fishing, and he put them in between the two
and just
main
leveraged
arms
it.
and pushed that out to where we had a makeshift outward pressured ratchet, basically.
But there is a lightweight carry on your bike tool for this. I just can't remember who makes it.
I've seen it too.
But
I can't.
I'm thinking about putting it in my kit,
So
especially for a bikepacking trip.
What was the Josh Dean takeaway that you were talking about?
He had sent me, because we had the same thing happen with his bike one day, and we were, I think it was one of those days we were riding Canyon Falls, Knob Hills, North Shore, and it happened at Canyon Falls, like straight out of the gate. We're like 15 miles in or something. And what we ended up doing that day is we took 2 small Allen wrenches and stuck them in the notches for the lock ring.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that
and
one.
then leveraged similar to that.
Okay, I follow what you're saying.
I'm still standing firm that was on Arkansas High Country.
It was at Canyon
After
Falls.
a day or two. He had a cassette issue on one of those.
That's possible. I don't know that I recall that. I remember explicitly where we were on the trail at Canyon Falls when that happened.
Yeah.
But
It happened twice.
Hey, guys, sun's out.
Yeah. Speaking of sun's out, so for all of the shit we had to pay for Friday with a little bit of weather, but all that terrible weather on Saturday.
it wasn't terrible.
Well, I mean, we didn't get to ride our bikes. We were stuck in the rain.
I don't know about you. I rode 23 miles on Saturday.
Okay.
I need to know, where did y'all get those bitchin' Alvord shirts?
From Lowe's
At the
grocery store.
Okay.
They were so matchy-matchy.
The weather on Saturday was not ideal and wasn't great for riding.
I wasn't mad at it.
Oh, come on. Would you let me finish?
Yeah, continue.
Let Caleb tell
what
his
are- what are we-
story.
I'll give you the con.
Okay.
It's all about Brad.
Yeah.
No,
Can I
it's
have the
not.
talking stick? No. Whatever explanation or description we have of the weather that did not go quite as planned. And I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying it is what it was. Tell us about Sunday weather. What was the word that you used to describe Sunday's weather?
It was absolutely epic Disney weather. We saw deer.
Yep.
I saw one of the coolest things. We were riding down this road. I think we had a tailwind at this point. I think
It was over by that. Do you know where the big solar farm is?
yeah.
Out there?
Which one?
I
Yeah.
thought they're all one big one that
No.
are connected in a series of roads.
We were just west of 377 or 1173. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And
That is a big one.
north of 380.
Yeah.
And we're riding, and there's we always play the hawk game. There was a hawk perched on a tree on the very top of this tree on the right side of the road. And as we were riding, I see this huge jackrabbit start to stir in this field. It had foot tall grass, and this jackrabbit stirring, frantically trying to figure out where it wants to go.
Right.
And I see this hawk take off from its perch. And so I stop, and these guys kept going. Hoyt and I stopped, and this hawk's just riding the wind and just scouting this jackrabbit. And then it kind of overshot it, and it turns back, and I lost sight of the jackrabbit, and Hoyt and I'd kind of been slow rolling because we didn't want to spook anything. And then we see it kind of dive down, and so we doubled back and to see if it got the jackrabbit.
Huge is not even the right word. At first, I thought it was a very small coyote. It was the largest jackrabbit I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was massive. The poor thing was trying to cross the road, and it would run to the fence line and see us, and then it would run up. But we were stretched out.
Right.
The group was probably stretched out 50, 60 yards.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it would turn back, and it would double back again, and it would try to come out across the road. It was very large, and to see that hawk that was trying to hunt him down was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking
knowing that
awesome.
hawk, and I've been on. Matter of fact, I've told the story before how cool it was. I was on the Rat. I had a hawk following me for what seemed like multiple miles. That was just swooping back and forth behind me, waiting for me to
Flush
a mouse or a snake
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
out of the grass. It's a pretty cool
Yeah.
experience. And then
Oh, this is kick ass. I found it. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just going to say, like, for as unideal as the weather was on Saturday, it was
Glorious.
It was
Well,
amazing. We were so lucky to have that day.
After we fought, the route took us north for quite a while, to the point where I was getting frustrated because we're headed south. However, we're riding north into a 20-mile-an-hour headwind, and I was like, when are we going to freaking turn south? But when we
kept
did,
working ourselves up to a stretch, we had multiple mile southbound roads that we just probably didn't pedal for
Sure.
2 miles each.
It was glorious. And the birds were chirping, and it was the sun was shining. I actually got a little bit of sun on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. It was all worth it, and we just had a great ride into town. You know?
Yep. We stopped at a gas station, and there were so many of us that came in. The guy said, "Just save your bottles and your wrappers, and we'll settle up at the end."
Yeah.
So we're just grabbing stuff, sitting down,
Yeah.
eating, and then that was pretty cool. I've never had anybody do that.
Yeah.
How was that
cool.
pizza? Yeah.
It
was calories.
It filled a void. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely worth it. But you know what was clutch was Red had that Yellowbird Blue Agave
That stuff's
Sriracha
good. Yeah.
that he brought into the gas
Yeah, he
station.
did.
We were putting that on our pizza. It was pretty good. So there's a company called, I want to make sure I say it right, Unior. So it's just like Union, but with an R on the end.
Okay.
UNIOR. They're out of Slovenia. And it's a $7 tool, $9 tool, 17 grams that is a lockering tool. So I'm ordering one of those pronto, and it's going to go into my kit. At 17 grams, you can't go wrong. So, it also has, holy shit, it has a spoke wrench integrated into it.
Nice. Carl had a spoke issue that he fixed very
Yeah.
quickly before we left.
Yeah.
He could have used that as well.
But aside from that, those are the only mechanicals we had, I think.
Yeah, I don't recall anything.
My shifter started acting crazy on the way back. Like it just would not physically shift. Felt like I was going to break my lever when I was trying to shift. But then
Cable issue?
I was thinking it was a problem with my shifter. So I was putting lube in my shifter. And then maybe 10 miles out from the house, it started acting fine. And then Sunday, I offloaded all my bags and stuff, and I didn't even attend to my bike, which is sad. But and then Monday, I was busy dicking around with everything else. But yesterday, we did a TMBG ride because North Shore was closed. We did our hot lap. I did it on my Willits, and then we were going to roll into Denton, and I grabbed my Fargo, and it shifted perfect. So I was telling Caleb it must have been one of my bags must have had my cable in a bind.
There's a bag bind. Had to have been.
But I didn't put my bags on any differently than I ever have, and I've never had that issue. But then I started thinking, like, I was going to get new hoods for my shifters because mine are just worn out. You know how they get soft and they're just too big, and my right one has a cut on the bottom of it. But I started thinking, I've had those shifters for 5 years now, and that's the last thing I want to do is have one of those fail on me. So I think what I'm going to do is order some new shifters, brifters, if you will, and just replace all my cables at the same time while I have all that done. So it's just peace of mind at that point because I've replaced my whole drivetrain minus my brifters.
Understood. Understood.
It may be overkill, but
Somewhere someone's going to go, yeah, no shit, dickhead. I've been doing this for years. But I found a new thing for me.
Okay.
I don't have as much
Raw
experience. Like a hallway down a hot dog. I don't have as much experience with the hammocks as Brad and Adam and a few others, but most of us opted for hammocks this time around.
except for Proctor slept in a freaking bivvy.
We came back Saturday from being in the store, and literally there's pools of water on his bivvy. You can see.
I'm about to say he left the bivvy up.
Yeah. Well,
It was dry as a bone inside, though.
Yeah, it was. Well, of course.
Okay.
But when we left, we knew it was going to rain, and I took my rain. I had some clothes in my hammock, zipped up, and then I had my waterproof bags hanging on some of those lines, and then I bring an extra pair of cord to wrap around a tree to hang stuff to dry. Put all that in underneath the rain fly, and then I had my chair and a few things on top of the chair. But I was worried about, well, shit, if the rain really comes in hard and it starts blowing, I don't want shit underneath. I don't want my quilt, my underquilt to get wet. So I pulled the stakes up for my rain fly and brought it in closer and closed it in closer to the ground. And when we got back to camp after all that rain, when I moved it back out, dirt was dry underneath. That was probably the only dry spot in the entire forest.
Yeah.
Was underneath my.
Well, not
my
true.
hammock.
Not true. We found the other thing we did that was really clutch was, and this is probably why we didn't get into town in time, is we all gathered firewood before the rain came.
Mm-hmm.
We stuck it under Hoyt's tent, and we had also found a like full size proper blow up mattress in the woods that someone had just abandoned. And so we used that as a tarp over firewood next to the fire. So we got back, we had dry firewood, which was clutch.
Mm-hmm.
So
I brought my. I found this online, and it works very, very well for fire starting, and it's fairly lightweight. You don't need very many, but you get Gulf wax from the baking aisle.
Yep.
Melt it down in a pot
Okay.
at just medium to low heat. You don't boil it. Just get it loose.
Right.
Make sure you turn the fire off. Also, don't use your wife's good pan for this. Use an old pan.
Okay.
And then you mix about a cup to a cup and a half of lighter fluid into that wax.
Okay.
Okay. And then you take the circular makeup discs, cotton makeup discs.
Or just cotton balls, but okay.
Yeah.
The flat ones store better. You don't have this
No,
massive clump, and they don't.
I get it.
And then you just dip those down with a pair of tongs, set them on a piece of foil, let them cool off, come up to room temperature. You can put them in a Ziploc bag, and they're fantastic for fire starters.
I bet a Silka chain wax melter would work well for that too.
It could, but I think it's you don't want all that lighter fluid in there.
Possibly.
That may be because that is a solvent that would break down wax. But anyway, yeah, that stuff works really, really well.
Have
That
you,
stuff.
have you heard any more on that yet?
Yeah, where's your pot?
I heard a rumor, a little birdie told me that the next batch was supposed to ship on the 19th.
No, that's what
Yeah.
I didn't know if you'd heard any more about yours specifically.
That's all I heard was
Okay.
from you, that they were going to ship on the 19th.
I couldn't help myself. I had to order one of those burrito bags I saw from those new Grindle bags. That looks perfect.
Yeah, you sent that text and I didn't know what that was. What is that?
Yeah, we thought you were referring to the food
burrito
at the
JJ's.
truck stop.
No, I sent you the link to the
No,
Silka.
We didn't get a link.
Didn't get the
Nothing.
link.
Oh, the link didn't go through?
Yeah, that's what it was.
It was a YouTube video. Silka released some bikepacking bags last week,
Let me fire up the war dialer.
Let's let the fingers do the typing.
and one of them's a burrito bar bag, which looks like it's the perfect solution for my issues with that tributary.
You know, I was also thinking too, I listened to our last podcasts and you were talking about you can't run a fuel tank on that bike, but I think you can, because I think you can operate that bike via an app. Can you not?
You can, but the power button is on that thing. So I don't want to turn the power off and on while I'm riding.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's the master power button right there.
Oh, I got you. So are they calling
The
it
Grinta?
the Grunta?
I think Grinta, Grindle, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Grundle?
Look in their bags.
Yeah. Oh, I've got it right here,
Oh,
but I
okay.
was looking for a burrito bag. I thought it was.
That's what they call it.
Yeah,
isn't
that
it?
is a burrito. I mean,
No, it's called a Grunta.
he means
handlebar bag.
classified because it's
Yeah.
about the size of a burrito.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Josh was calling it, was a burrito bag in the video that I thought I sent y'all.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And I can't remember what was the other.
It looks perfect.
Yeah, they had a saddle bag too.
Yeah,
but
it's also called a Grunta roll top. So I'm not.
And they use a boa. I'm a little concerned about. I've seen these boa small saddlebags and a roll bag. I get a little worried about.
I understand,
boa
but watch
on
the
that.
video.
Okay.
Because so basically they're using the same premise of internal frame backpacks as opposed to external frame backpacks.
Yeah.
So they're semi-rigid,
Yeah.
high volume, and no wiggle or sway or swaddle or anything like that.
Yeah. That's a good size too.
Yeah, but the I just don't like, and I guess if you're trying to be lightweight, but the one piece saddlebag like that, I had one of those at one point, and it was just a pain in the ass to repack. It's so much easier to pack a bag when it's off the bike and then go into like a cradle system. And that's just my opinion.
Watch the video.
Yeah,
watch the video.
will do.
So I mean, it may not be for everyone.
You mean the video that you didn't send?
I understand. I'll resend a link.
I was like, what is he talking about? And I
That's
even asked
weird.
Caleb, and Caleb goes, he must have got a burrito. And I go, no, because he met us down the road, remember?
Maybe my paste didn't work after copy.
It's heavy though.
Is it?
Yeah, this I don't understand. Secures this 2 to 5 liter. It's 2 to 5.
Yeah, you
that
can
means
roll.
you can roll it down, but
You can roll
and
it
it's
down
at
to 2.
it's at 208 grams, and then I'm looking at the shrew, which is almost 2.5 grams, and the shrew is 142 grams.
What's the shrew?
Yeah,
What's the shrew?
the shrew is the smallest seat bag that Revelate makes.
Oh, it did come through. Yeah, I'll watch it.
Okay.
I missed it. Somehow I missed
But
it.
I the shrew also is going to move around a little bit. I don't care either way. I was just trying to get a comparison.
What's the
I'm not
volume
gonna-
of the shrew? Is 4?
2.25.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but this
was
is a
thinking
5-liter bag.
I see that now. Yeah, and plus, it's probably got since it doesn't sway as much, and that's fine. I just was curious but the weight difference. It's a cool looking
And
bag.
again,
though.
the saddle bag looked interesting, but I didn't go that route because that's not going to work with my dropper post regardless.
Yeah.
Irregardless.
Irregardless.
I can't do it. I just can't friggin' do it.
Piv sent me a video to over the weekend.
Davis?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll have to send it to you. It's all like this grammatical exchange. It's so funny.
I think I may know the one you're talking about, but I could appreciate it again if it is the same one.
2 things. First off, companies, stop naming your shit things that's hard to pronounce. Hypalon, the
Yeah.
Hypalon strap. Okay, you can pay $30 for a boa strap. It's literally a strap that
Yeah.
it's an anything strap.
Right.
Or you can pay $7 for a Walla strap.
Yeah.
Well, I get
That's
it.
not going to fail like a boa ratchet.
Yeah.
It just seems.
I get it. Trust me, I do get it.
But that handlebar bag is cool. I like that,
Yeah.
and it's waterproof.
That's they're true waterproof. Is the Revelate bag truly waterproof? I mean, we've talked about it before. Technically, I'm usually not a full waterproof fan, but I'll
Yeah.
give it a go.
Have you gotten this in yet?
No, it's on the
Okay.
it's
Okay.
it's on the way.
I want to hear back how easy or hard the zipper is to get open while
Yes.
you're riding. To
Yes,
pull food
I-
out while you're riding.
Yeah,
Yeah, I want to touch it and feel it when you get it.
of course.
That is interesting. I like how it looks like it's supposed, because it's a smaller volume. The strap that normally goes around the head tube area of the bike, this goes up and secures to the stem.
That's what it looks
You
like.
see that,
yeah.
Brad?
No.
Yeah, because of it's a smaller size, so it's
But-
strapped to the bars, strapped to the stem.
But my stem is so small.
That is the full. It is. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that fits. You can figure it out though. There's ways around that.
I've made it to work.
Who
to
makes
this
the
point.
little burrito bag that you have? That you roll around with a lot of times?
The one on my Cutthroat or the one on my Warbird? My Cutthroat is a Broad Fork.
Broad Fork. That's what I
Yeah,
was
they
trying to
custom
think
sewed colors to match my Cutthroat because I'm matchy like that.
Hmm.
But Roadrunner, I think Roadrunner is I think they have one that's actually branded as, let me look up, as the burrito bag.
Hmm.
Someone has one that's called burrito.
So, as we're talking about bike packing gear, so we talked about bike issues and bike failures or bike shortcomings. How about bike packing gear or camping gear? Did everybody's stuff work out well this weekend? Anybody come across a brick wall or anything like that?
I think Proctor learned his lessons about sleeping in a bivvy.
Yeah. Check the. I mean,
Well-
I know weather's unpredictable, but if there is rain and humidity in the forecast, bivy may not be, because you're literally going to sleep in a Stouffer's broccoli steamer bag.
Yeah, a hot pocket
Yes,
sleeve.
it is a hot pocket sleeve.
Man, I was, I'm a gear junkie anyways, and you saw my hammock set up out
I
there. I was
did.
just airing it out because I slept so close to the fire.
I thought Paula threw you out again.
No, it's not a threat for me to sleep outside. My sleep system was tremendous. I'm a huge fan of that. That
How
Dutch
about
Wear
your new
Chameleon.
computers and all?
Yeah, dude.
Everything good?
To the point where Caleb created another route, we thought, while we're sitting at the laundromat, and I was able to do it all via phone, and it was so easy, so easy. the interface is so much better now. You know, you don't have to connect it to a computer. You don't have to run it through 3 different filters, and you don't have
as long as you have cell service. Yes.
Yeah. You don't have to, you know, choose the GPX file.
Did you get your inReach up and running?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries.
I only had to use my messenger. There's only one, maybe twice, that I wasn't getting a cell signal. So cell signal was a little bit better than expected. I know when Kay and I were out there, we were hiking. Like we went through some spots where I had none. So we came prepared for that as a contingency. Bringing our Garmin.
I wasn't really worried about it. I mean, my wife knew where I was.
No, and there were so many people there anyway with the race. Ultimately, it ended up. There was way more people than expected.
And we had a good crew too. So I mean, you know, there's something to be said with hanging out with guys that
you trust,
100%. And you know we're going to take care of you and look out, you know, and stuff like that. We had a really good camaraderie, great campfire scene.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like if I learned anything coming away from it, because I always take something away. I mean, the cassette tool thing is definitely one.
Yeah. For me was the cinching in your rain fly if you know rain's coming in.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think of that, but I will do that next time.
Run that by me.
So, it's people who are taller-ish, Brad, myself, Adam, you know, we have to raise our rain fly a little higher in order to get in it. Well, if you do that, it's going to be higher off the ground.
Well, I run mine right along my ridgeline.
But your ridgeline is determined on how high you hang your hammock, which is determined on how high your waistline is.
No.
Right?
No.
Well, you're supposed to hang it right about to where you can just roll into it from a standing position.
I hang mine to where it's like 18 inches off the ground.
Take a running start or a sliding start.
Okay, well, here's what I do. To make it easier to get in and out, I try to hang it right about when I get into it, it's at my ass.
Ass level.
So it's easier to roll in and out of it.
Yeah.
With that being said, because I'm almost 6'3", my ridgeline's going to be a little bit taller, which means my rain fly is going to have to be taller in order. I don't want to crunch down getting into it, right? So that means the edges of my rain fly is probably 2.5 feet off the ground in some instances.
Yeah.
That's a lot of room for rain to get blown underneath it. So all I did was pull the stakes out and pulled it in closer and then cinched it down to where instead of my rain fly, you know, here's my hammock and my rain fly's out here, I just cinched it down closer, tucked it in, closed that gap a little bit.
Okay, I follow now.
Makes sense. I'll definitely do that next time. I had, I forgot what they call it, but I'll show you after the podcast, but they have, it's like a gear pocket that goes off the side of the hammock. It's really cool because you can access it from inside your hammock, and it's like a little...
It's like a side pouch.
It's like a side pouch, but it's expansive. And I had my base layer bottoms in there when we went to town on Saturday, and thinking I was going to have to put them on when we got back Saturday night. I didn't, but I got back and they were slightly wet because it wasn't completely protected by my rain fly. That's probably my main takeaway, my main F up.
It's highly possible I did not have it installed correctly, but I'm pretty sure that I did. I'm not a fan of the little shelf that comes with the Dutchware.
I liked mine.
Well, the way that I had it, I had to reach and use both hands to try to find the opening because it's closed for some reason. It wasn't stretched open.
Yeah,
so I would have to. There were multiple times that I would reach and put my phone down, thinking I put it in it, and it would fall right on top of my head.
Yeah. Huh.
Anyway, probably didn't have it set up right.
Yeah, we'll look at mine afterwards because mine's still set up, and you can see if yours doesn't look like mine because I helped you set yours up, didn't I? And I believe we set them up at the same time. Yeah.
Or you set yours up and I watched yours. Anyway, either way. Yeah. But other, Hoyt has a really cool rain fly.
Yeah.
It has it's asymmetrical.
No.
So where one end can tuck in behind it and close off. It's not asymmetrical.
They're it's got ends on both ends. He just had one end open.
Okay.
Yeah.
So instead of being like a perfect square, it's the outsides are longer than the ridgeline, so that he could take his and tuck his around the side.
I follow.
Close it off where you don't have an open
now,
end.
I'm sure there's people that have been listening to us talking about this bikepacking trip. And so 73 day one going out, how many miles was it coming coming back?
About 70.
Another
Yeah.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh,
and
Ish.
call it a 150-mile weekend.
Yeah.
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 Well, we rode like 23 miles on
Probably close to 160.
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
150, 160.
Yeah.
All right. Nice bit of
Yes.
mileage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good.
What was the route? How did y'all get there? What type of roads, or how much mountain biking?
Yeah.
Or?
So we left Argyle, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
started heading towards the Krum area, KRUM area of Texas, which
Yeah.
is a little bit west. Got into Dish 1st, I think, or maybe afterwards. And then worked our way north, then west, then north, then west. Then
Yeah.
I mean, we just kind of, it was almost like a sawtooth going up. Got, let's see, vast majority of the roads were paved rural roads. There
Yeah.
were some gravel, not as much gravel, but that's just because that area, we didn't get into a lot of gravel until we got closer and closer to the grasslands, just because that particular area didn't have a ton.
Yeah.
The roads were in great shape though. And then coming back was about the same. Not a ton of gravel, but we knew, this wasn't a trip that we thought, let's go get a shitload of gravel and go camp at somewhere.
What about
new.
in the grasslands?
The grasslands is almost all gravel. Yeah. Pretty
Yeah.
much
What
everything.
y'all did anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And those roads are fantastic. Matter of fact, that's the reason to go back. 100% the reason to go back. And this trip was more about exploring that area than it was the roads getting to that, because most of us have ridden 90% of those roads going up to it anyway. It got to a
Yeah.
certain point where I finally said, okay, this is new roads that I've never been on.
Yeah.
And it was only about maybe 20 miles of it, because between Spinistry rides
Sure.
and just ramble rides and stuff,
Yeah.
we've all been up through that area. But I'm really excited about, I have to go back to ride those grassland roads.
Yeah.
There were some really cool areas, and it's
Yeah.
pretty out there. I think it's
And that
It was really
cistern
nice.
water is beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
yeah.
I learned something this weekend.
Okay.
Well, I noticed I only filtered out of there one time because, oops, sorry, I keep doing that. Because I noticed the Crazy Water tent, and after I had filtered water, I went, oh, I'm going to go see. So I went up there, and he was giving out water. So I got 2 bottles of water and took them back to camp and drank one, and then gave one away. But as I was filtering, I noticed there was about 5 little goldfish in there. And after I got back and started thinking about it, I looked it up. And apparently that's a thing. Like, people put goldfish in cisterns. They eat like larvae or excessive algae and stuff like that. It's kind of a self-cleaning ecosystem. I was
Okay.
like, that makes sense.
Makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was crystal clear, that water.
Yeah,
It wasn't murky
It's
like
straight
I was
out.
expecting.
It's straight out of the ground. It's like
Yeah.
crazy water is what it
Yeah.
is.
It was delicious water. I was quite the fan, but it wasn't as awesome as having crazy water poured straight from.
I understand completely.
That was a luxury literally on Sunday, we were going to go filter, and I was like, well, I'm going to go check because everybody was in the process of loading up, the event was winding down, and I was like, I'm going to see if the Crazy Water guy has more water. He had a horse trailer. He probably, no exaggeration, probably had 30 additional 5-gallon jugs in there. So he had come prepared. He also had a trough that was full of 2, 3, and 4 water bottles. So
I don't even remember what the different Crazy Waters are.
he gave me a rundown.
So for folks that aren't familiar with Crazy Water, they number their different water types, styles,
Their wells go back to I forgot when he said.
and they're from mineral wells.
Yeah, he said they have 18 different wells that they just don't utilize right now, and they're bringing some more online because their distribution's picking up because they picked up HEB, and he said it's just blowing up for them. But I forgot what it is. They actually have 4 wells there on site at Crazy Water, the Crazy Water facility.
Right.
And one of them is a blend one of their numbers is a blend of two separate wells, and then the number 4 is their highest mineral content. He told me it has more electrolytes and more dissolved solids than Gatorade. It's actually better for you, obviously, than Gatorade because it doesn't have any of the coloring or flavoring or sugar or anything.
Well, I mean, they're always going to tell you that regardless.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
But when you drink that 4, you can taste the mineral content in it, not in an offensive way at all. I actually enjoyed it.
It had a taste.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It has a specific
very
flavor,
subtle.
but I enjoyed it.
Sure.
It's not like we've all had that well water that has that sulfur,
The sulfur taste.
Oh,
It's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that at all.
It almost tasted like it had a very tiny bit of salt in it.
Yeah.
And which I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
Like that stuff hasn't
It's
been
Texas water.
Yeah.
It's got salt in it.
Yeah, which it was interesting. I had not had anything like that I was aware. I've had mineral water before, but that was pretty. I don't want to say heavy. That would not be fair to say it's heavy water, but you could tell that there was.
He said
something
some
in it.
crazy number like 2,500 parts per million of dissolved solids in there or something. I can't remember. Very good though.
I
Very
would
good.
have. I think I would have. I really want to try it out on a hot day.
Yeah.
Or after a hard ride, or
Yeah.
in the middle. But man, wouldn't that be good during Midnight Massacre?
Yeah.
Having that stuff started, considering last year when we started, it was 108 degrees.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Yeah.
That does get rough.
So I looked up that Hummingbird rain tarp. That thing's $190. So not cheap, but it also only weighs 12.8 ounces, 362 grams. That's pretty badass and packs down pretty tiny. So.
And it is a Roadrunner that has the burrito bag. It's the same thing as Silka, but that's what that's their, where the Silka is called the Grinta. Roadrunners is called the burrito bag. So I think that's where Josh has gotten that, and I'm going to drop that in the show notes.
Well,
as
I've heard that term as a standard term for that style of bag.
Yeah.
So, but if somebody has one properly named that, then that takes precedence. I would think that's the way those things typically work. I did want to do a little bit of housekeeping on last week's episode.
Okay.
And not busting anyone's chops here or anything like that. And maybe I'm the one that's off base. I didn't want to jump in the middle of it while we were talking about it. Kind of hits on two things. When we were talking about the Valley of Tears event last week and the potential perceived political incorrectness of the name, and we all touched on it a little bit. I haven't dug into it too far, but as we were talking about it, I was thinking, I don't think Valley of Tears is politically incorrect. My understanding, my memory of it is it's a reference to things that were going on before the white man settled the United States. It was Valley of Tears from the native nations.
Okay.
Is where that name was drawn from. It wasn't a conquest incident or anything like that, if I remember correctly. And I assume that's what people in that Instagram post were alluding to. And I wonder if maybe people were potentially confusing it with Trail of Tears, which that was definitely that is a different situation there.
I appreciated the creativity in the name. Obviously, they're referring to the suffering on the bike in the valley.
Well, the Valley of Tears, that is what that geographic area is known as.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the Red River Valley.
Okay.
Valley of Tears
Okay.
is...
Okay.
Now, whether the name is appropriate or not, I'm not speaking to that. I'm just saying I think it takes it less likely to be insensitive.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That's
Yes.
fair. Yeah.
And I will say the post that I was referring to, I don't remember it ever having and using the name as their hot point. That was not point of that one.
Not the OP, but comments in it did.
Okay.
Comments in
Okay.
it did.
You're right. Someone did in the comments mention that.
So this is where, I'm pretty much a middle of the road guy. like you've talked about, Caleb. I am center. I get pissed off by both ends of the spectrum
Yep.
equally.
Yeah.
I do believe.
Same.
So I can trust me. That video I sent you about the congressperson.
Yep.
Personally, it's like that doesn't jive with my stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But to each their own sort of thing. But the other end of the spectrum as well, if you're going to try to label stuff as politically incorrect or insensitive or whatever, know what you're talking about when you say that.
Sure.
Don't
Yes.
just knee jerk that
Yes.
this is inappropriate. Okay, I don't necessarily agree with the politics involved myself, but that doesn't mean it's for me to bash.
Yeah.
Because I'm a freedom guy. You're free to be wrong on this end of the spectrum, and you're free to be wrong on that end of the spectrum. Somewhere in the middle is where the right is.
Well, and
The correct
us to
is.
have the ability after the fact to have a conversation and say, hey, here's what we mentioned this subject to each other, the three of us. We all said, hey, we're not going to form an opinion until we look into it.
Right.
You've looked into it. You've educated us on it, and now we can be okay with it, and we can move on with our lives, and we don't have to play sides or feel compelled that we have to make some grandiose proclamation on social media about it.
Yeah. I don't want to go there. Everybody's wrong. That's what it boils
Everybody's
down to.
wrong.
Everybody's wrong, including me.
Simultaneously wrong.
Also, I'm up to 50-something miles of combined efforts on the tributary. I'm not going to say the E word.
Okay.
I was wanting that bike when we were riding into the headwind on the way home on Sunday.
We got to this one point where they're in and around that solar farm area was the cross section
Stice.
of the original around Stice.
Right before we got onto
and
Stice
Doyle,
Road.
Stice and Doyle.
Yeah.
In that area. That's where your route crossed
Yep,
each other. And you actually ride on Doyle. Going up, there was a little bit of confusion because between various newer, older, different software versions of the Garmin's were screaming we're going the wrong way. We had some people with some Wahoos that were screaming the wrong way. And I said, no.
Garmin
hang
hates
on.
crossovers.
Yes, hang on. I know this is confusing. Hang on. And we did. We made it around. And even coming back, I said, hey, our Garmin's and everything's going to not like what's going on. But there was one section where we stopped. Clearly, you could take a left and continue going south. Or you could follow the route and go north, which is the opposite direction of which you're wanting to go, which is in the headwind.
Yeah.
And these guys go, we're going to follow the route, or are we going to stay in this headwind? I was like, come on, guys, it's only 8 more miles of headwind. And you should have seen the look on Red's face. He was trying to play the game,
Yeah.
but you could
like-
clearly go.
He's like, huh? Well,
Well,
would have been my first choice.
well, I mean, he goes, but there's food that way.
Because
and
there's
it ended up-
tailwind and food that way.
So I just turned and started riding north. They hopped on, and that road was 1.5 miles north.
2-3 miles.
And then
Yeah.
another mile to the east, and then we went. What the great thing is it extended our downhill tailwind ride
Yeah.
There you
down
go.
to 377.
Yeah.
That no one. I didn't hear any complaints about that.
Yeah. You mean 380?
What did I say? 377.
377,
Yeah,
yeah.
380. Sorry.
Yeah. There was one stretch where we had we turned onto this road and we had this just killer tailwind, and I looked down and it said next turn 3 miles, and I was
Yep.
like,
Yeah. And we were riding. We were going a little bit downhill because everything headed back to Denton is downhill. But that particular street was on a slight slope, not major. It wasn't a downhill section.
yeah.
I was not pedaling, and I looked
It was
down.
a reverse false flat.
Exactly. I looked down. I was not pedaling, and I was holding about 18 miles an
Yeah.
hour,
Yeah.
just holding onto the handlebars.
Yeah, it was so nice. So nice. Yeah, it was all worth it, and that's when, everything just felt right.
Yeah, birds.
Yeah.
So many birds making noises, and there was no traffic sounds, and
And then when we got closer into town, all the frogs croaking and stuff. That
Yeah.
was freaking awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
I mean, it was truly like a Disney day.
Yep.
It was good stuff.
all the critters were talking to us.
And then we we got in, pulled into the back way here, and Paula's standing in the garage holding cold beer. Freaking angel.
Can't beat that.
Angel. So it was, I mean, for rolling out of the garage, fantastic bike trip. Thanks for putting all that together, Caleb. And
the idea was to find a cool trip that we could go. I've never done a bikepacking trip that was door to door.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, Caleb rode over here from his house, and then insisted on riding home
back
from here. Yeah,
nice.
Yep.
So bonus miles.
Yeah,
no extra charge.
No, I got I don't know, maybe almost 15 extra bonus miles out of that.
So it was, I mean, all in all, fantastic trip. I don't know. I mean, there was so many highlights. It's hard to say what the highlight of the trip was, but I mean, I even enjoyed hunkering down in the laundromat. And
I think that was fun.
It was so much
it
fun.
wasn't.
Right.
Sometimes
Okay,
doing
this brings
the
up a
thing
good
is
point.
not doing what you plan to do, but you're still doing something.
Yeah.
This brings up a good point. Okay, for all those people that are on the fence, haven't found the right bike packing trip, haven't found the right group, haven't found the right route. Plan versus actuality. How much overlap was there for this 3-day weekend trip?
Saturday, 0.
Yeah.
Other than riding, we probably knew we were going to ride into town to get some resupply stuff, like just, if we needed some extra food, or Carl so he could get his boxed wine.
Yeah, just to, we had intended on, I think Caleb was against it at the time, had intended on going into town and getting some hot food, that somebody else made, instead of, sitting around the fire and firing up your stove again and eating dehydrated food, when there's a town 9 miles away.
If the weather was perfect,
and
we spent the day riding the
all the
grasslands,
trails and exploring, and
honestly, I would have probably ridden down there kicking and screaming, but have been thankful to have a hot meal at a table once I got there.
Sure.
Yeah. Honestly, that was the truth.
I
But
get that.
we had a fantastic time given the circumstances, and really, it's all about mindset. You have to be okay with it not working out, and you just figure out sometimes doing the thing you're supposed to do is not doing anything at all, which is what we did. We sat in a laundromat with a folding table.
But realistically, correct me if I'm wrong, not being involved with it. Let's just say there's a very black and white, no descriptors involved. This is what happened this weekend. Mm-hmm. Somebody would look at that list and go, "Oh, they had a shitty weekend."
No, not at all.
No, I understand that. It's real easy to go, "Oh my God, they spent hours in a laundromat. They got rained on the way there, rained on overnight.
In fact,
they didn't get to explore like they wanted to all day Saturday. Oh my God, that must have been a shitty weekend."
No, it was awesome. In fact, when we were standing out front of the laundromat, when we regrouped before we headed to,
they were hanging out in a laundromat and they were wearing these friggin' blue Alvord shirts.
But before we headed down to the subway, there was a guy.
You have to earn those shirts too. You can't just go to the Lowe's.
It's a trophy.
Are you going to let me tell this fucking story or not? It's all about Kevin.
I was about to say, now Brad knows how it feels, doesn't he?
You cuck. Anyways, we're standing out front of the laundromat trying to figure out where we're going to go eat, and we're all dripping wet like a bunch of wet rats. And this guy pulls up in a Dodge Diesel, gets out, and he goes, "Well, y'all's day just went to shit, didn't it?" And I go, without a hesitation, I go, "Tell me a good story that starts with, it was sunny and 70 and everything was perfect." And he just goes, "Well, whatever." Turned around and walked into the store. But that's the truth. I mean,
it is the truth.
Stories don't start with everything went perfect.
No.
It's
like I say day in, day out, it's not an adventure until something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And wrong is in air quotes.
Yeah.
Because that's when the fun begins.
Yeah. Well, you don't learn anything.
The fun is figuring out how to make the best out of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then when you do, when that happens, it's a good day.
Yeah.
Still wasn't at work.
Yeah.
Still wasn't mowing the yard.
Yeah.
It beats being in a cubicle.
And I didn't have to cook.
That's true.
I did boil water though.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Man, it was so good. Everything was so good. I don't even know if I had what I would even consider any kind of equipment or packing failure, or the only thing is I brought a fly rod and didn't use it. But to me, it was awesome knowing that I can ride 150 miles with a fly rod strapped to the front of my bike. It didn't budge. It didn't bother. It didn't hinder me at all.
In hindsight, I think it would have been a little difficult to fish at that time. That lake was low. If there were any, if
that
there
wasn't
were,
the lake we were going to fish anyway.
That wasn't?
No.
Okay.
No, that was. I forgot the name of that one. Starts with a C.
You were going to go to
Cottonwood Lake or something like that.
And there's a big cottonwood and a little cottonwood. Then what you're
we were going to go to
Black
Rock, Black
Creek.
Black Creek Lake. Yeah,
Black Creek.
That's where we were going to fish. That's the fishing spot.
Okay.
I wanted to ask something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching your track, obviously, and did you cut off the far west end?
That was accident. That was an accident. There was a section where the downhill was so fun.
Yeah.
Some of us forgot to turn.
That's fine.
And then when we double backed, we realized we could just keep going forward. I think I was having so much fun riding those roads.
What part was this?
We
Where
did
was this?
when I got home. When I got home and opened up my laptop yesterday, I still had the Garmin Explore tab open that had our track, and we did miss about a 3-mile section at the very, very north end.
The far west end, far
northwest end.
Yeah.
It would have taken us a little further into the grasslands on the northeastern end, and then when we would have come down in a southwestern direction. I don't think any of us even realized it because we were already on one of the main roads in the grasslands.
I wouldn't say we missed anything.
Well, I mean, I'm always up for more miles, but it would have only been like 2 miles.
Those are a couple of good roads that are in the mix there, but I mean, it's worth it.
And we were, to be honest, we were a little behind schedule because of sitting in that gas station.
You were a little behind schedule.
Even if someone said, hey, we're going to cut out a few miles to get to camp, like literally it was probably 2 miles. We're going to cut out 2 miles to get to camp a little bit early so we're not setting up in the dark. I would have been okay with that.
We still kind of, not that we barely, but we kind of barely got set up before dark on Friday night.
You guys had to have been cutting it close.
Well, like you said, we burned an extra hour and a half plus at that gas station waiting out the rain, and then we had a couple of regroups.
See, my assumption was somebody got the shits from JJ's Food, and y'all done a beeline over to the Valley.
Everyone survived that, and I think. I don't know if it was Hoyt. I don't know who said it, but I think those were hand-cut fries, brother.
They were 100%.
They look. The picture looked like hand-cut fries.
Well, as much as they charge for them, they better be hand-cut.
I know. Adam goes, "Who wants hamburgers?" And he said they're $8 a piece. I went, "Okay, great." Well, so he went and placed the order. Then we were going to go pay, and I walked up to pay, and I brought $10. And the guy goes, "That'll be $14." I'm like, "How much fucking fries?"
Well,
like
I mean,
$4 for French fries.
Okay, but what? Five Guys is $20 for?
No, I'm not complaining. It was well worth the money. I was surprised. It caught me off guard.
Those fries were the highlight of the meal for me.
That burger was good.
The burger was. I mean, it was okay.
I mean, for
a gas station,
for a rainy day out in the middle of nowhere on a gas station, it was a good burger.
For an episode out of Saw, that hamburger was pretty good. Next time you're in that gas station, make it a point to go to the bathroom and just look. You're like, oh my God.
Trust me, I know.
I'm expecting a chainsaw to fire up in the background somewhere.
Yeah, that place hasn't been cleaned since it was legal to smoke indoors. I mean,
I think there's probably still some smoking going on indoors.
Oh yeah, it's
but we
that was cool to see you though. Thanks for showing up. That was fun.
I was happy to.
What were you out doing? Were you just hanging out anyway? And
I was just at the house, and to be honest with you, it looked like y'all were going to be socked in there completely at that point.
Yeah,
because it kept building to the south and rolling in, and it's like I'm going to go that way, and I knew some people were going to tough it out, but it's like if somebody just needed a bailout, I would be there. I wasn't going to offer it per se.
Don't be somebody's parachute, Kevin.
It wasn't going to be stuck. It wasn't going to be stuck out there. It was going to. If things kept going, if things were getting worse.
Yeah.
It's like, for my own peace of mind, I didn't want to be, sitting around there till 7 o'clock at night, seeing if y'all even got out of there before dark.
No, that makes sense.
Sort of thing. So, and it's like, well, I'll go see him anyway.
I kind of hated that you showed up right when we were like deciding we were going to start rolling.
No, I was looking at the radar on my way there. It's like, fucking A.
Yeah.
I am bringing the clear skies
Yeah,
with
you
me.
did.
This will work out.
And the tailwind.
Yeah, a little bit of tailwind.
A little bit of tailwind.
And I got to see y'all.
Yeah.
And it also reinforced that I had no ambition to go out there Saturday or Saturday night with all the rain.
Yeah.
But,
you should have come and hung out with us at the laundromat.
I don't think so.
That was the second dirtiest place.
Oh,
Yeah.
was the laundromat less than prime?
There was water standing in the laundromat on the end wall where rain had just seeped. It was either rain or one of those washing machines.
Let's call it either. Let's say there's 16 washing machines, 8 on each side. I went down every one of them and looked inside.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of them actually worked. There were some that still had clothes in it that had been there for a while. The clothes had rust stains on them
so
from hanging out in this
like
laundromat.
two of the best money laundering places.
Yes. Yes.
A couple of those washers were duct taped shut.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah.
We took off our socks and put them in the dryer, and Proctor, Adam had bought a roll of paper, 2 rolls of paper towels. Proctor took a wad or folded a bunch of paper towels and was using them under his feet, and we call him, said he had his Swiffers on. That's how he was getting around the laundromat, and so that floor was cleaner when we left than it was when we got there.
Yep. It was pretty funny. To put it this way, not a single person came in the laundromat to use it, and we were there for multiple hours.
Yeah.
So as we were rolling out, someone finally showed up to come and use it. So
on a Saturday.
Yeah, a little. Maybe the weather had something to do with it, but still, here's the thing though. Half the dryers worked.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 washers worked. I mean, it's not a very well functioning.
Maybe there's another laundromat in town.
The plus up was they did have the latest issue of Texas Monthly, so I was able to read that. That was nice.
Well, there you
Odd.
Yeah, very odd that they're keeping up with. They had the latest Texas Monthly and National Geographic.
Yeah. Old Pawpaw was reading while we were playing cards.
That game was so stupidly overcomplicated.
What's the game of choice?
Golf.
We were playing golf.
No, I didn't.
I'd never played it before. Hoyt taught me. It was fun.
You guys had fun, but
Yeah.
once you figured it out, but you have to admit, it took a while for you guys to pick up on how to play it.
I still don't think Proctor knows how to play it. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it.
You know what the hardest thing about the entire trip was?
What's that?
Trying to figure out and listen and pay attention to how to play that fucking card game. That was the most that was the hardest thing of the trip. It was way easier to read Texas Monthly.
Because you didn't care.
No, I didn't. I was
You
enjoying
didn't-
the day.
you didn't care
I
at
was
all.
enjoying the day.
Yeah.
I was not interested.
It was. I mean, it's hard to. Did you have a highlight from that trip?
Yes, I know what my highlight was.
What? Getting home?
Waking up at midnight and hearing Adam having the time of his life. I honestly think that was my favorite part of the trip.
All right, you have to expand
No, I'm not
on
gonna.
that one.
I'm not gonna get in too much detail. But most of the time, when I go to sleep and I hear people yelling and hooting and hollering in the middle of the night while I'm trying to sleep, I get a little irritated. I'm like, all right, guys, knock it down. I woke up. I went to bed before everybody else. My body was telling me it's time for bed. Like I was having a hard time staying awake, and I needed to sleep. So I was the first one in my hammock.
And this is Saturday night?
It's Saturday night. And I woke up several times to Adam Phillips laughing
Like a cartoon
his
character.
balls off.
Yeah.
He was laughing so hard that I would wake up giggling. I would
'Cause it was contagious laughter.
I would become conscious laughing at him laughing.
Yeah.
Those guys had the time of their lives that night.
And so we didn't give you a total count, but just to backtrack just a little bit, when we rolled in from town Saturday, Adam had a 12-pack strapped to the front of his bike. I think Redmond had 9 beers in his bag.
I had 3 or 4 in mine.
and then
Proctor had 3 or 4.
We had 18. We had a 30-pack of beer at the camp, and a full bottle of Blue Note whiskey.
Okay.
And then Red had some kind of bottle of liquor.
He brought a bottle of pre-mix old-fashioned, which we didn't even really get into. And so after dinner, we're sitting there, like 3 or 4 of us had our red headlamps on because we're still messing with dinner and stuff, and we're crushing beers and passing whiskey, and there would be trail runners come by, and we're like carnival barking at them, come get a beer. We got beer. We got whiskey. And it was all intended in the nicest possible way.
Sure.
But these people are like, we asked one group that came by, how much further do y'all have to go? And they were like 30 miles. And I was like, holy shit.
That was at 10:30 at night.
Yeah. And none of us realized at the time, but in retrospect, the next day, Caleb goes, "Do y'all realize how creepy that is? You're in the dark sitting around a fire. These people don't even see you at first, and then you're like from nowhere going, 'We've got beer over here.'" He's like, "That's like the van that says free candy on this side." It's very ominous.
There were people going, "Yeah, when we're done, we're going to come over and we're going to have a beer." And I'm going, "They're just trying to satisfy you guys so you don't skin them."
Yeah, we were trying fruitlessly, obviously, to give away beer because we realized we went to bed and we didn't even crack that 12-pack.
Yep.
So we rolled.
They're all running. Where's their car?
Yeah. So we rolled up to the start line on Sunday, and they brought that 12-pack and gave it away. And Hoyt and Caleb actually sat there and drank a beer with some random guy that was hanging out there.
I think his name was Dusty.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like a Texan that could be in a
movie.
Yeah.
John Ford movie.
Yeah. I mean, he had the vest and the hat and the handlebar mustache, and his name was Dusty. And 9:30, we cracked a beer right there and enjoyed it, and then got on our way. He was a nice guy. His wife was running the 15K. The 15K started Saturday morning. So.
Yeah, and he made the comment when he was drinking that beer. He goes, "I don't think my mother-in-law is too happy with me drinking a beer this morning."
Did he say that?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. It's funny.
Cheers, Dusty.
Yeah. Cheers, Dusty.
Speaking of riding your bike, let's go ride our bikes. I'm going to ride today. Are you going to ride today, Caleb?
Probably not going to be able to ride today.
Man,
got a lot going on.
You're not going to get to ride tomorrow.
And that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, you weren't around when you went back to get your glasses yesterday. When we left, we rolled out here yesterday, and Brett had to turn around. I'm going to make that route attempt in a day. I've decided I'm going to do it. Yeah,
just up there and back.
Yeah. Again, I need to. I've got to get some big mile days going, and I'm going to.
When are you thinking about doing that?
Probably. Not this weekend. Next weekend, I got to go to Baton Rouge.
You're going to pick up your tire liner while you're there?
Yeah, I told Kay we're driving out there to get it. I had to hide it in the woods and bury it with leaves. I'm not going to leave it out there. First off, it's just littering and leaving trash.
Yeah.
Also, it's quite expensive.
Yeah.
There's an investment involved.
Yeah, so I buried it under some leaves. So if anyone wants to go out there and try to find my tire liner, I bet you can't.
You should have geocached it.
If you can find it, you can have it, but you ain't finding it.
You should have geocached it.
I know, right?
Go ride your bike, boys and girls.
So go ride your bike.
Yeah.